Listening to episode 2 of Barefoot Talks with Stephanie Papadopoulos. Today's show, I got to reflect back on closing doors on One Space HQ Bondi. It's been over a year now, and these guests today were one of our last shows supporting Tijuana Cartel. Today, I got to chat with Kallidad. So I'm here today with Kallidad. I'm going to start off with what I like to start off with asking each of you to come around and just tell me who you are in this human experience and who you are today. So you can make it as small or big as you like in the answer, and I'll start with you, Jason. Yeah.
I don't know who I am. I'm not sure yet. I'll let you know when I find out.
I'm Tom. Tom Raven is my name. Play guitar in Kallidad, and yeah, that's me.
Jules, aka Senor Bang Bang, and I'm a drummer. It's and this is Kallidad. Thanks for having us.
Beautiful, thank you. We'll come back to you, Jason. I want to know a little bit more about you. So, I know. I think he's still in the moment. So, as in reference to Kallidad, can you please explain to me who you are in this beautiful collaboration?
Well, in the group, musically I play the guitar, usually the melodic side of the guitar, where Tom plays more of the rhythmic side of the guitar. But also in our friendship, in our history, I'm kind of the big brother, seeing that the way that Kallidad started was that these two guys were best friends in school with my younger brother James, who's 2 years younger than me. So all through school, it was these two guys and my brother and their other mates. And obviously we knew each other and we were friends, but we weren't best friends yet. And I was the big brother, and I kind of still am the big brother, whether I like it or not. It's just part of our dynamic, is that's how we grew up. So that's a secondary role that I have separate from the musical thing.
And the other brother, is he musical?
He did not pursue music. He's now a lawyer, actually, my younger brother, but he is a very handy guitar player when he wants to be. He just learnt enough songs to kind of play around a campfire, but he plays them very well. And he strums a guitar with the absolute identical rhythm to me. So it shows that rhythm is genetic, because I can watch my brother play, and I've practiced my whole life and he hasn't. And we have the same rhythm. So it's very interesting to watch him play, actually. And he just doesn't take it seriously, but he's definitely could have been an excellent player if he chose to be, but he's an excellent lawyer, so that's good. He's
chosen his purpose and his path. Do you feel like the music has always been within you?
For me, sure. Yeah, definitely. It took a long time to find the courage to pursue it, but it was kind of, I always loved not only music, but all entertainment, film, television, cartoons, shows, live shows, theme parks, anything fun. I thought was particularly fun. I thought it was a shame that people when they get adults, stop having fun, and I vowed that I wouldn't do that.
And do you feel you're keeping that oath to yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I think Kallidad's an enormous amount of fun, I think.
Yeah. It feels like you're all on purpose. You can see the joy within you all, especially when you're up on stage. And I'm just trying to navigate through how do three people, not even from the same age group, just growing up in the same area, get to live the lives that you feel like you're living the dream to me. Would you say?
We are living the dream.
Yeah.
Well, it's our dream. Yeah. It might not be everyone's dream to have the same, do this, but we definitely, we definitely love it and definitely enjoy it. And we never set out to become a band. It wasn't a main objective of ours. Was like, let's sit down, let's be a band, let's play songs and all that stuff. It kind of just very naturally happened because of where we were at that particular time, and it's all fit nicely.
And so bringing back to after school, did you rehearse together? And then, as you said, you never planned it, so it's not like you sat there, we're going to be called Kallidad and we're going to be painting our faces and then we're going to tour Europe and we're going to be big and support Tijuana. So how just to understand to the youth out there, how do you just organically move through it without some sense of vision of where you want to go? Yeah.
Well, the band came out of this moment in time when we'd been out of school for a couple of years, and we were living in Bondi, another dream, like just on the beach, you know, just having a nice house, friends over all the time, like open door policy, a lot of parties. And we kind of just wanted to continue that, and, you know, started jamming a lot. Me and Jace used to play a lot of music together from when we left school up until about 3 or 4 years after. And yeah, we just try to keep that vibe of, you know, just having fun and playing music just for the sake of it. And yeah, try to
Did you
keep it going.
each of you keep up day jobs?
At the start, we did. At the start, we all had at least one day job. Also, Tom was at uni when we started, and so was I think. I left uni, he finished. We had at least one day job each, and then, for example, I would teach guitar lessons, or people would say we'd have 1 or 2 day jobs or even more. And so we were definitely busy when we started. But another thing, when you asked about vision, I think the vision in the early days was to have a heavy band, but that vision evolved through circumstance to become what it is today. But yeah, we had day jobs, we had uni, and this was kind of when you get home from uni or when you get home from work or whatever, you know, just get together and play some music together. And then...
And when you say the vision was a heavy band, you mean heavy metal? Because a
Yeah,
lot of your
from
influences...
When I started playing guitar, I was like, I want to finish school and start a heavy metal band, a big heavy metal band. And Jules and I began that process of, you know, using, for example, now in Kallidad, he plays the cajon, which is what he's sitting on, the box drum. When we started, he was using the full drum kit. I was using an electric guitar with big amplifiers, effects, and so on. And there's little bits of that on the Kallidad albums. But Kallidad, with the lightweight setup, the lower volume sound, the more kind of direct, energetic, open sound, just resonated with people so easily and naturally. That's why we say it was so organic, because we were just having a bit of fun and people liked it. Whereas with a bigger, louder, kind of more grandiose kind of band, it just wasn't going to work. I don't think we were talking about that in the car today. Like, how hard would it be to be a heavy band these days? Almost impossible. But with Kallidad, it just worked because people instantly could connect to the fun of it.
And I imagine, like, touring, you're only touring with 2 guitars and a cajon, which is, you know, very feasible to tour the world, and rather than the big drum kit. And
well, that was a conscious decision.
Lightweight
Yeah,
touring.
that was a decision.
Yeah.
Again, that same time that Jace was just talking about, that was a decision we made, or these guys made, was to be lightweight for that reason. You know, it makes touring a lot easier, especially in those early days when we first started touring interstate and the first international trips. A lot of those trips would have been impossible, or nearly impossible, with full drum kits and bass guitars and amps and all that stuff. We just couldn't have afforded to do it. You know,
involved,
yeah. So
We were like, I mean, we would go down to Melbourne for the weekend and just ride the tram around and like sit on the corner and busk and take these little micro cube amps that fit like in your backpack and the box, and that's it. That's all we needed, and we had to make do with what we had.
because you began busking, didn't you? And then what's the connection? Tijuana Cartel was the first connection to hit where you started touring, or where did you really start to become bigger
Not
crowds?
quite. We started at Tijuana Cartel. Have helped us an enormous amount.
Yeah.
We basically used to just jam in the flat as a pure. It was like, we've got our jobs, we've got our uni. Jules and I were in a band. Tom was DJing at the time. You know, we had things happening, and just purely for fun, we would play these Spanish instruments because they're fun to play. Long story short, one day the neighbours came and were very lovely and said, look, we really like what you guys are doing, but it's a bit loud, it's a bit annoying, you do it all the time, you always have parties, you always play. And in the nicest possible way, can you stop making so much noise all the time? And we were a bit distraught because that was what we loved to do, was play music. And so we went busking, not because we wanted to show people the music, not because we wanted to collect coins, but because it was the only place we could go and play that no one would tell us to shut up. So that's what we started, and shortly after then, people started noticing us on the streets and bringing us into Bondi's bars and cafes for our first official paid gigs.
yeah, the Tijuana show came a bit after that. A friend of ours who used to play in a band with these two used to organise the bands at the Beach Road Hotel in Bondi. Ben Tini is his name. And he got Tijuana to come and do a show the night before they were flying to America. and they were flying out of Sydney, so he kind of talked him into doing a show at the Beach Road. And because we were good friends of him and our sound and their sound, he thought it would be perfect for us to open for them. So we did that night, and it was great, and that kind of started a strong friendship that still exists today.
Of course, yeah.
Well, they invited us to go on tour with them like the month after that gig, I think, which is pretty cool for us because at the time, you know, and still now we look up to them, and you know, they kind of took us under their wing and we played some really cool shows.
And was that Australian-wide tour, the first one with them?
We went up the coast, up the east coast to Bellingen, and
in those early days, that's when we still had day jobs and university. So when you say tour, but for us, our idea of tour at that time was finish work on Friday, go to the airport, or sometimes take Friday off, often take Friday off, which is when we started to get into trouble because we... that's when we eventually turned full-time because we could. Yeah, I think we'd take Fridays and Mondays off if we could, or if we couldn't, go to the airport, do the gig Friday night, Saturday night. Then usually Sunday we'd have to get home in order to be back at work on Monday. So tour sounds like a long, arduous trek, but it was more like 2 and 3 day stints with day jobs and university in between.
I want to, staying on touring, I mean, now you're touring the world and you're touring, you know, Germany and or Europe. You're about to go on another tour.
Yeah, we're going to Europe again in May, end of May.
Because you were
June.
getting your passport when we spoke.
He still is. He still is getting his Greek passport.
It's a big brother.
Yeah.
So how does that feel? I mean, this is that now you're at that stage, you know.
It feels great. It's kind of, you know, like a dream coming true for us to be able to tour the world and do it consistently. I think this will be our 5th trip to Europe in a row or something. So again, when we first started the band, it was just not, we didn't think about it at all. You know, it just wasn't an option that we were thinking about. And kind of, that first tour to Melbourne and then the Tijuana Cartel thing and the first time we flew to Perth, these were all big steps for us. And now it's kind of almost part of the run. You know, it's almost standard to go to Europe every year. And we just got back from New Zealand last month. So, yeah, it's really exciting.
Incredible. I mean, living the dream. I always like to say when people are going touring, I mean, we've got climate change and a lot of different issues going on at the moment. How do you stay connected and grounded while you're on the road so much with relationships or with family or with your own inner self?
It can be difficult sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you're driving all day and get straight to a venue, a new town, and go straight into sound check and play that night and get home at midnight and then leave at 7 a.m. the next day. You know, so it gets tiring. It can be hard, but you do what you can.
Any tips that you bring along the road with you?
Any tips?
I wanted to talk to you about that because I mean, reading your biography.
Helps. And the bands that get wasted don't last. I mean, they don't last 3 months. We see them. You see them getting wasted on their tour. It's their last tour. It just doesn't work. It doesn't.
I mean, I'm really passionate about this part, and I really admire you speaking out about that because all of you practice yoga, or do you practice yoga?
I think we all have had our yoga stints.
Yeah.
We try to keep it up as much as we can.
But are aware of it, the well-being.
Yeah.
And I know I tend to talk over people, sorry. I get excited. It's just a non-alcohol, you know, I don't drink alcohol myself, and running, you know, producing shows, it enabled me to stay grounded and just conscious, you know, and be able to get up the next day after going to bed at 2 a.m, and it helps you to sustain yourself. So to have you say that as a musician, I really admire that. And I think it's a great lesson for all the youth out there.
Yeah, and the boys do have a beer or two, no more than that. You know, at dinner they'll have a beer or something like that. So it's not like we're preaching straight edge or anything like that, but I haven't touched alcohol short of maybe 1 glass of wine, you know, with a friend because they were drinking wine in about 7 years or so. And same goes for cigarettes, same goes for drug use. Just somewhere along the way, those things got inherently tied to music, and it's completely wrong. You definitely play worse. You definitely live worse when you're doing those things. So it helps us an enormous amount.
Well, that, go, yeah.
So, like, the other thing as well, like on tour, it's, I mean, you're working essentially longer hours because, okay, say you get up at 9, and we get in the car, we drive 3 or 4 hours to a show. And then from there you might have, you know, an hour off, but then we have to set up the gear, sound check, you know, a little bit of time for dinner, and then we're playing the show, hanging around after. So by the time we finish, we're, you know, it's like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
And holding space for everyone.
And holding space.
And speaking to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we found out in the early days, like doing that hungover is, you know, was getting harder and harder. And the music we were writing was getting more energetic and faster. So it just naturally happened that we wanted to kind of, I guess that happens with age. You kind of get a bit of wisdom anyway and kind of cut back on what you don't need anymore, what doesn't serve you anymore. But we still enjoy a couple of shandies now and then.
Which is beautiful. I mean, but I think there's
I
an important... I don't at all.
And I hate it. I hate people drinking. Even I think music is the only job on the planet where people for some reason think it's acceptable to drink before you work. Like if you walked into a doctor's surgery and they were drinking, or if you got in a taxi and the person... Sorry?
Motherhood. They think that you can drink.
Well, yeah.
Once, you know,
I haven't
like,
thought
why?
about motherhood before, but... Yeah, but I think about any other job. If you got there and the person was drinking, if someone came to fix your tap or your plumbing or paint your house and they were drinking, you'd be absolutely furious. Or if you supported a football team and the goalkeeper was having a drink, it would just be completely unacceptable. But for some reason, in music, it's considered acceptable. And I really don't like it. I'm
passionate about it not being acceptable because I believe that music, you know, as artists, you're the messengers. Yeah. And it's an important role to respect, and you're holding space energetically for an audience, and they're getting a gift from you as well as you're getting a gift from them. And I think, you know, we throw this word around conscious, but we don't have to say conscious. But if you're a clear channel, you're really doing that job to your best ability, aren't you? So that's why I'm really passionate about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just came back from New Zealand. We did about 6 weeks in New Zealand, and the festivals that we played were very conscious. There was no drinking or anything like that. And there was a lot of people having a lot of fun in this space, you know, being sober and, you know, just kind of feeding off each other's vibe. So it's, you know, it's more, I guess, like a scene than...
High vibrations, yeah.
High vibes.
Yeah. Well, coming to high vibrations, I mean, if you look at it, none of you said, well, I'm going to be the lead singer and we're going to have a band. There is the music, your storytelling through music and instruments. Are there actually, so when you write the music, are you actually sharing messages through the vibrations of the music that you're writing? Like those stories, because I know you wrote there's a book that came out with one of the albums and it described the story, the message behind each song. So like Odyssey, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have like a picture in mind when we're writing it.
Yeah.
It's something we want to convey. Maybe, you know, without lyrics, it's hard. People get their own idea of the song and have their own experience with it. But it makes the song writing funner and have more of a like intention and purpose behind it when, you know, we're trying to, for example, encapsulate the sound of a chicken walking across a countryside, you know. But I don't know. What do you reckon?
For me, message is maybe a slightly strong word. For example, we're not a political band, or we're not here to celebrate any sort of particular belief or anything like that. But more than message, maybe something like an energy that we're trying to spread. We're definitely, like you said, something like a high vibration, or I sometimes think of it as almost like a lower vibration, like try and basically through the use of movement. So we're almost always trying to make people dance, make them move their body. And the idea is that through that movement of the body, that the emotions start to move. And it's not so much that we are trying to direct people's thoughts or emotions in a particular direction, other than we're trying to stir them up as much as possible. And then whatever happens to that individual from then will be their individual journey. But I view our job in the kind of the ceremony of the concert as to stir the pot and just get people physically moving and emotionally moving, and then the results of that are not. We're not trying to determine the results. We're just trying to make that happen.
I love that because there's one thing watching music, but the ability to get people to move and feel that vibration, which is what you do, having had you play in my venue back in Bondi. I mean, you definitely do that, and that is a gift, because it's what we need to do, is move our bodies more, isn't it?
It's funny, when we come up with a riff or a melody or something like that, series of chords, if it's me who comes up with it, I always have an image in my head of what I want the song to sound like, or it's not really a message or something, but more of an image. So say it's like a desert at night time and someone's, I always have some sort of image in my head. And it's funny, we can play a song to a person when they hear it for the first time, they come up and will tell me what they see, and it can be completely different to what I wanted it to be or what I was anticipating. But it's just so funny. We kind of want everyone to form their own image and idea about a piece of music, and we kind of, without the words, just leave it up to them and let them feel what they want.
I love that.
But it can be so different to what we have spoken about. So
I think we have different ideas of the songs that we play.
Each of you individually as you're writing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's part of the magic. The mystery.
The mystery of Kallidad. We're going to go to a song in a minute, but if you could talk to your younger self and give some advice. I mean, you're not so old now, but the youthful self of you, now knowing that you are living the dream right now, what is it that you would give some advice like?
I would probably say something along the lines of don't try and do anything that anyone else wants you to do. Kind of, I remember when I was young, I was always kind of like, I have to go to uni, I have to do this job, I have to read these books by this time. It was all very much like that, which is fine for some people. But looking back now, I guess if I could say something to my younger self, it would be, don't worry about what other people want you to do and just focus on what you want to do, I guess.
Nice.
So.
For me, it's basically exactly the same. It's like, yes, you're right, and all the adults and everyone else is wrong. And like, you are right. You were right. What you wanted to do is what you ended up doing, and everyone made it so hard for me. So yeah, basically ignore basically everyone except yourself. Just ignore them all. They're all wrong.
Was there anyone
only you
telling
know?
you?
Only you know what your path is.
You
And
seemed like you knew.
yeah, I did. But parents, teachers, schools, university, everyone, even bandmate, former bandmate, everyone made it hard for me. And if I had to give my younger self advice, it's like, no, you are actually right. Don't let them knock you off your path. Doesn't make it any easier. But it's very difficult, this path. But at least be certain that it is your path.
I love that no one knocked you off your path.
I tried. I certainly tried to knock a few people back.
Yeah.
I still want to be lead guitar.
And I want to be the drummer. So we're all in a constant state of flux. I've always wanted to be a drummer. That's another thing. I probably would have told my young self, play the drum. I probably would have said, play the drums. I ended up on the guitar and things turned out all right, but I probably would have, probably. Because now all I do is sit at home and play the drums, finally.
I think John Butler's looking for a drummer.
And a bassist.
Yeah. Did we?
Any advice for younger Jules?
He's still young, I think.
Yeah. Just, pretty much keep doing more of what I'm doing now. More so. More writing, more like being more creative, writing more music, and maybe, I don't know.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah. Maybe a bit more exercise, or just be a bit more active. And but I was lucky. I mean, my parents were supportive, I mean, like, my dad's kind of responsible for me being so into music. Like, he doesn't have a musical bone in his body, but he used to have this epic CD collection, and I'd always pick and choose, and he helped me buy my first drum kit, and, so I was lucky.
You were a fan of Tool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he introduced me to them,
Right.
like, from an early age.
Yeah.
And, like, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, all those cool. He had, like, Jethro Tull, epic. And then a bit of Jace introduced me to Slipknot sometime after that, and, so very lucky.
Just want to add something on the off chance that my parents do listen to this. I'm not saying that you didn't, I thank you for everything. Yeah. I made it sound like they weren't supportive or anything. But
Were they supportive of your tattoos on your feet?
they don't know about those yet. No, they do. That's another conversation. Yeah.
I want to go there for a minute.
Can
Like,
sorry.
No,
Go
sorry.
there. Go there. I just say I discovered my dad had a tattoo recently I didn't know about.
Just recently.
Yeah, so we were at the beach on Christmas, I think it was Boxing Day actually.
And he actually went in the water.
Yeah, no, so he took his shirt off and I knew he had one tattoo. And I was like, you got more tattoos? And he had an angel on his back. He's like, yeah, that's your little sister. I was like, oh, that's nice. And then he had a horse on his like heart, and he's like, that's you. I was like, that's amazing, because he likes horses. So do I. And I was like, what about our brother Jimmy, who's there, mate? And my dad pulls down his swimmers, and on his ass he had Tweety Bird tattooed. And he's like, that's Jimmy. It was just amazing. Sorry. Back to Tom's feet.
Well, Jimmy has a Batman.
Oh, right.
Jimmy has a
Maybe
Batman,
don't
the
tell us
Batman
where.
logo
Okay.
on his backside as well. So
Where are all your tattoos? Shall we go into it? I don't have any tattoos.
yeah, I got a couple of little ones. Jules has.
Oh.
Jimi Hendrix tattoo. Big fan growing up.
I always thought it was Kramer.
And we played in a tattoo shop.
Did you?
And they said,
Oh, right.
originally, sorry. Yeah, we got invited to play in a tattoo shop, and the initial offer that they said was, look, come in as early as you want in the day, and we'll give you whatever tattoos you want. And I was like, look, we'd rather get paid if that's all right. So they said, sure, well, we'll pay you. So we arranged that. But they also said, look, if you want a tattoo, you can get it. So these guys both got, maybe they can show you their tattoos.
Yeah, please.
No, those were another occasion. No, I got just little ones on my hands. I don't know if you can see them, Mr. Cameraman. That guy's name's Nacho. Yeah. And then Jules got one on his leg as well. So
I'm not religious, but that's kind of. I'm not a religious man, but that's kind of the most normal tattoo option on the night. There were people walking out at this tattoo shop where we played with a bowl of nachos and like donkeys drinking tequila and stuff like that.
Is this in overseas or?
it's in the Gold Coast.
All right. Okay.
Which, yeah. But they had like a menu of tattoos you could order. They weren't just like letting people choose anything. So they just had like a set, like a set menu, and you would go and choose it. And it was like nachos. It was actually nachos, like a donkey, like a prawn drinking a margarita. There was some pretty ridiculous. And then the ones we chose were the least, kind of shocking ones, I guess. So yeah, that was that.
What did you say on the way back?
What did I say on the way back? Yeah.
It's like, oh, this better work out because I don't think I can get a job now with these hand tattoos.
And is it working out?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
You get on well.
We get on well, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
As far as if it stopped working out, or just say it came to a closed door, what else would you like to do while you're having this human experience? Is there something else each one of you dream of?
I think we all love music too much to give it up, all of a sudden. So if I wasn't doing this, I'm sure music would be involved somehow. I don't know how, but some way down the line. But I always, ever since I was really young, I always wanted to be a teacher. So I guess I started a teaching degree and then I changed degrees, but maybe down the line, or maybe, at the same time as the band or something like that, music, teaching, I don't know, something like along those
You're
lines.
a beautiful teacher.
Well, we'll see.
Mr. Tom. Yeah, I mean, same. Music would always be there. I don't know, maybe play more guitar. And we'll think
He
about...
wants to play drums.
Yeah, well...
So we could swap.
Yeah, so that's what we had in mind. Yeah. We've got to...
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Called, what was it? Young Neil and the Tommy Floyd. It's like our favourite Pink Floyd and Neil Young covers with an instrument swap.
Yeah, nice. I like it. You love reading. You're an artist, and
Yeah, I don't know what I think about it a lot. What else I would like to do, because one of the things, and this maybe taps into what you're talking about with you want to inspire young people and things like that. One of the things you have to do that is sometimes unpleasant if you want to follow your path is say no to many other paths which are lovely in themselves. So you get offered to do things that are cool or you might have, each of us has skills outside of the skills that we use in this band, but you have to make a conscious decision. If you're committing fully to a path, you got to say, I'm not actually going to even look down that. You know, there's really cool things. So many people do so many cool things, and sometimes you get invited to participate in them, and you have to say, unfortunately, in this human experience I'm having, that's not going to be part of my path. So it's really hard. So if all those doors are open, I really don't know what I would do. There's music. I love film. I worked in the film industry before the band, and even before I started playing guitar, I wanted to make movies. And then my day job before the band was in a movie studio. So I would consider that. Definitely some kind of environmental. I'd like to kind of combine commerce and environmentalism, like building eco houses and stuff like that. Definitely thought about that. Possibly music management or record company side, like the business side of music, I would consider. There's just so much stuff to do.
You're a visionary,
I don't know,
aren't
but
you?
I don't. We've discussed it. I don't think Kallidad's going anywhere for a very long time. We really plan to do this for life, and I think we will. And I think we can all have happy and fulfilling lives and family lives with this band as a constant. The band will have times when it's touring heavily and when it's, we've never taken a real hiatus, but at some point I think it will happen. But I really don't think, I mean, if this band isn't rock solid, then I don't know what it is,
Feels so solid. Yeah. I mean,
Just to
having
add to
worked
that,
with so many bands. Yeah.
When we're not touring or playing gigs or anything, we're all playing music with each other anyway. It's kind of like, what are you doing? It's like, let's hang out. Let's, and a guitar or a drum normally comes with it. So
on stage, you have different names and you paint up.
Correct.
Would you say that helps you step into, I was saying, like an alter ego to help you perform on the stage?
Yeah, it definitely helps. Again, it wasn't it wasn't a conscious decision we made when we started this band.
Big Brother was against it at first.
He was, yeah. Well, it was our first ever tour outside of Sydney. We went to Melbourne, and our first festival we ever played. So it was Rainbow Serpent Festival, a bit out of Melbourne, and they only have one live stage for all the bands. So it's a big stage, big sound, big crowd, big moment for us, And then the festival was delayed. Festivals always get delayed, so it was delayed about an hour or something. So Jules and I decided to run off and get our faces painted before the biggest show of our lives. And we got back with 20 minutes.
So an artist actually painted
a face
like
painter.
You went off to face paint.
I remember on the way to the stage.
We used to wear like board shorts and t-shirts at the time. We were like quite off the street.
And on the way to the stage, I actually saw a face paint tent. I was like, oh, we should do that at some point this weekend. And then like 10 minutes later, we were there getting our faces painted. We came back and Jay saw us. He was pacing behind the stage and he saw us with face paint on. And he was like, oh gosh, guys, like, what have you done?
You remember this day, don't you?
Yeah, it was one of the biggest days. It was one of the most intense days of our lives. It was the first tour, first festival, first big concert. And the first day we wore face paint. It was, I'll never forget, none of us will ever forget that day. So much happened that day. They lost our instruments. I would certainly remember this day.
Whoa.
But
That's
so
an
Jace ran off with 20 minutes before the show, ran off and got his face painted as well. And didn't even finish it, I don't think. Came back. Yeah. So that happened once. I can't even remember what the question was. I got so sidetracked. So yeah, the
when
alter
you're up
ego
on the
thing,
stage, does it help you to perform?
It does.
Yeah.
I was just saying it wasn't a decision we made. It's like, let's be this, let's do that. It was kind of like we got our faces painted and we kept going. We kept doing it after that. And then the nickname things kind of came into, like, Raven is my surname. So I've always kind of been known as Raven all through school and everything. So that was a pretty, like, natural thing. And then Jace's partner is Slovakian. So she always calls him, there you go.
Yeah.
Represent, yeah. So Jacinko is kind of a endearing term, for Jason in Slovakian. So again, it wasn't a name. So Jacinko is that. And then Senor Bang Bang, that's pretty obvious. He's like, he's Mr. Bang Bang. So yeah, the names and the face paint, but it definitely helps create a kind of character when you go up on stage. You can zone out and forget about everything else outside of that moment, that one moment. And I know for me personally, the 1 hour before a show where you do the face paint and everything is like a great chance to,
step in.
Yeah. So we do kind of become alter egos. Yeah.
So now you are doing the face painting yourself.
Yes.
It's an art.
It's taken a while to get to this level. We used to be really bad at it. None of us can really paint that well.
You don't have an artist on tour with you.
No.
No.
we had to get our friends to come to the shows to help us paint. We used to wear masks for a while.
Okay.
The what are they? Guy Fawkes, the V for Vendetta mask, anonymous. Yeah, and we just. I think the first time we tried to paint our faces, we were painting each other on a boat in the harbour at a boat party, and so we're swaying and like stabbing each other in the eye, and
No alcohol.
it was all it was all uphill from there.
I was.
That first time, yeah, because we used to always bring someone and we would pay them to paint our faces. But I realised two things. One was that because the band member has to sit still while their face is being painted, it doesn't save us any time because even if somebody else is doing the painting, you're still committed for the whole thing. You're just sitting there. And then that same day, we had a girl that was to paint our faces. She had too much to drink and couldn't handle the boat. So she basically abandoned us and we had to learn on the spot how to do it. And then it's like, we might as well just... But I mean, even a band as big as Kiss paint their own faces. So it's... it's definitely part of the ritual and part of the day is painting your faces. For us, at least.
Yeah, maybe not everyone.
Like, what is your view on today's music industry with Australian artists? And
there's definitely, we've kind of actively shunned the music industry initially. Yeah, but it's definitely possible to make a living from music. It's still possible to. I mean, people make tens of millions of dollars from music. It's just that it's. Yeah, it's kind of there's actually two music industries now. There's like the major label industry, and there's all of that, TV, radio, that. And then there's independent artists, and I think you can actually make a living either way. Maybe getting stuck in the middle is bad. Like, you don't want to be a small band on a label or something like that. It takes an enormous amount of work. And like we said, things like being sober, taking it seriously. A lot of artists and a lot of people, maybe this is for your kids as well that you want to inspire. A lot of people seem to have a real problem accepting money for their art. They almost reject the money. We've had people, we say,
worthiness.
You took a great photo, let's buy that photo off you. And they're like, no, you can have it. It's like, no, we want to buy it. We want to support you. And they still make it hard. They're like, no, I'm not sending you an invoice for it. It's yours. It's like, look, you're a photographer. You want to be a professional photographer. We're trying to help you be a professional.
Yes.
Take the money. Or that happens a lot. So a lot of young artists and all people of all ages need to realize their worth and realize that you are offering a valuable good or service with them. Photographer, band, manager, booker, it can be anything. So that's the first thing is don't reject the money that's coming because it's hard enough to make a living in any job or the modern world is a tough place. Maybe it's not as tough as the ancient world was, but life is still tough pretty much for everyone. You have to really put in a lot of energy to get by in this world. So definitely don't make it harder for yourself by rejecting the people that are trying to help you. Accept gratefully what's offered to you and work hard. And I think the big record labels are so used to making millions of CD sales when their big artists release a CD. That is not there anymore. But I definitely think streaming, it's definitely possible to make a living in music through concerts and streaming. And people are making more money than ever in music. It's just unevenly distributed.
Yes.
But nature doesn't distribute things evenly. Like if you go and look at a forest, like the biggest tree in the forest is the same size as 10,000 of the small little plants and things like that. And music's a bit like that as well. That's actually a law of nature.
But a really important point of valuing yourself and knowing your worthiness as an artist. Because I often talk to the youth and I say, what do you want to be? And they'll say, I want to be a musician, but I can't make a living out of that. And they kind of look down, and it's all of you seem to have been brought up with the value that you are of value, you are of worthiness.
Not necessarily.
Or did you have to bring that within yourself?
Yeah, I'm still actually having to learn that. Okay. Definitely was told I was not worthy of anything. Absolutely not. But I think with us, it was such a love of music. It was like, if we're going to survive, once you start touring and stuff, it's like, okay, we have to start paying for flights and stuff like this. It becomes, it's like, this is getting real. This is actually how people actually want to hear this band, and they actually want to hear this band in other parts of Australia and other countries. We have to fly there. And it's kind of like, we love music so much, we forced ourselves to develop some business acumen just so we can play music. And it'd be nice to have a trusted manager to do that one day, but a lot of people go, I love music, but the industry's too hard, so I'm going to do something I don't love as much. It's like, well, learn the industry, then play. You know, it's there. It's definitely possible.
I listened to a great podcast on responsibility and what that, you're breaking that word down. So it feels like you've really responded to your abilities.
That's a nice word.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. Anyone want to add to the music industry at the moment?
Well, you can definitely have a career without, you know, the conventional backing of the music industry, so to say. You can definitely do it without that. So, and we kind of, as Jay said before, we kind of chose to not avoid it, but go down a different path, I guess, and try and be a bit more independent, I guess. So you don't have to rely on those certain things to help you be successful.
And coming back to fashion, I mean, I think that it is important to take pride in your art, and you know that you have a great name, you're marketing it well, the visuals, you know, all of this help you become an artist that is reputable and long-standing, you know, in the industry.
I just so often see people that, you know, badly dressed, scruffy, don't turn up on time, drinking on stage, and they're like, why isn't people paying lots of money for my skill? It's like, are you really worth paying money for? Like, basically, and once again, a message to the kid: be worth paying to listen to or watch or see or talk to, and people will pay. Like, if if we're writing a song, it's like, is this worth paying money to listen to? That's a pretty high standard.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much music there. Like, so think about, if you're taking a photo, is that photo worth paying money to look at? Or if you're making a movie, so just because you want to be an artist or a musician or anything, it's just like, you want to be a doctor, be whatever you want, but be worth paying for. And like, I'd like to be, you know, we like playing football, but we don't expect to be professional footballers.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't expect that someone's going to pay us for our football skill. So if you want to be something, just make sure you're good enough that you are worth paying for, and then people pay for it. It's not actually that hard. It's just really hard to get good.
And on that note, we're going to walk to the beat of our own drum. Yeah? I think we finish up there, and I would love you to share some of your beautiful live music with us to wrap up this interview on Barefoot Talks.
We've put a lot of pressure on ourselves now, haven't we?
I know.
Yeah. Better be bloody good.
I've experienced it personally. It's great live.
Well, thank you for the interview. I think,
Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
What song you want to play?
Good question. Where's our guitar?
Mine's here.
Roadie, we need a roadie.
Ready?
I'll step out.
So this song is the reason that we've chosen to play, it's our most popular song on Spotify, so maybe it will appeal to the most people.
Don't normally play on armchairs.
Yeah, or couches, or this is all new.
Lounge.
Painted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2.